So Dominion is the voting system that Trump, Fox News, and Newsmax and all these guys were saying their machines are not safe, and they helped facilitate the rigging of the election. Now, Dominion is suing all those people, specifically Fox News, for $1.9 billion in damages. And defamation lawsuits, as I've said on the show many times, are very, very hard because you have to prove essentially that the person defaming you knew what they were saying is wrong. And, many times you just don't have the kind of evidence to support that kind of a finite claim. But what's happening with this Dominion lawsuit is really interesting. In the process of discovery, they obtained text messages from Tucker. They got text messages from
Murdoch.
They got text messages from that other big head guy,
Hannity,
yeah, and also the
Laura Ingraham.
Yeah,
all the executives is a star-studded cast. It's wonderful to see them in private and the way that they discuss these matters and the disdain that they kind of have for their audience. Like
it's so cynical.
They're completely aware that they are, they're posturing on television to an audience of fucking baboons.
They're knowingly lying.
Yeah,
it's so
and they know
cynical.
how stupid their fan base is.
A staff member texted Carlson to say they'd heard Mr. Trump was planning to not attend the inauguration, an important symbol of the peaceful transfer of power. Carlson said, "I'd heard that about the inauguration. Hard to believe. It's so destructive. It's disgusting. I'm trying to look away," he said, of Trump not going to Biden's inauguration.
Yeah.
He's almost like a normal guy behind the scenes.
No, it's funny because
it's like that's what I think.
No, he's not a normal guy. Here's why I love that. Because I, unlike yourself, am infinitely more cynical about the American government and also all this symbolic shit, right? And what it means. So I don't care. Ultimately, I'll talk about how crazy it is and how funny it is, but deep down inside, I don't really give a shit, right? But it's funny that Tucker Carlson, on the other hand, is such a civility liberal after all, even though he himself is a devastating WASP nationalist who cuts racial agitprop every fucking night in a very successful way, if I may add. Deep down inside, he's still I can't believe he's not doing the symbolic stuff, though. You're undermining the integrity of the American institutions. Please.
But if you could go to his broadcast for that night, I'm pretty sure he'd be like, why should President Trump go to the inauguration when there's so many questions about the legitimacy of the election?
Well, he's literally doing that right now. It's always better to not fully starve out the population and give them some breadcrumbs to make them feel comfortable in their existence than it is to truly undermine the entire system, let it crumble. Because when you undermine the entire system and let it crumble as it stands currently, when there's still profit to be made, you're going to give up on a lot of your amenities, a lot of your.
But if I guess you could say more specifically, he's going against his own interests when he goes on the show, and goes with the talking points. But he goes on. This is about the aftermath of the Capitol riots. After the riots at the Capitol on January 6th, Mr. Carlson texts with Mr. Pfeiffer. Who's the Pfeiffer? Is that a producer?
Yeah, that's the producer.
Okay. About Mr. Trump's culpability in the insurrection, how to deal with viewers who still support him. This was 2 weeks before Biden's inauguration. Carlson says, Trump has 2 weeks left. Once he's out, he'll become incalculably less powerful, even in the minds of his supporters. Carlson continues, he's a demonic force, a destroyer, but he's not going to destroy us. I've been thinking about this every day for 4 years. Pfeiffer says, you're right. I don't want to let him destroy me either. The Trump anger spiral is vicious. Carlson says, that's for sure. It's deadly. It almost consumed me in November when Sidney Powell attacked us. It was very difficult to regain emotional control, but I knew I had to. We've got 2 weeks left. We can do this. What these conversations are so ridiculous, too.
Well, Tucker Carlson, shouts out to Roger Ailes, rest in piss. But Fox News as an institution was designed deliberately to be the propaganda arm of the Republican Party and the Republican interests, right? So Tucker Carlson having this conversation in private is hilarious to me because this is the exact same conversation that is happening in every circle in the Republican Party, because the party machine currently has these two conflicting forces. They have geared up the base to be more and more extremist, right? Because the culture war is the only thing that keeps people going out to the polls, keeps people going out and voting, because like you're not offering them any sort of material restitution. You're not offering them anything. You're not offering them health care. You're not offering them like financial freedom or anything like that. So how do you make work the deregulation narrative? How do you make work the tax cuts for the wealthy narrative? You shift the attention away, you pump up the American dream rhetoric, and then you shift the attention away from like the genuine damaging impacts that this kind of attitude has, this Reaganism attitude has on the economy as a whole, and you focus on marginal issues, culture war issues, and you create this culture war agenda.
This was my favorite one, by the way. And I'm wondering if Trump, I feel like, has to respond to this. He goes, on his desire to move on from Trump, Carlson said, Mr. Carlson texts with members of his staff 2 months after the 2020 election and 2 days before the insurrection at the Capitol building and looking forward to not having to cover Mr. Trump. Carlson said, we are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. He says, he continues, I hate him passionately. Carlson says he hates Trump passionately. And so I wonder if Trump's going to respond to that. But what's interesting about this is that you have proof, hard evidence, of Fox News pundits saying exactly the opposite of what they're saying on the air. And it's interesting that it's turning out that they have a very compelling case of defamation, Dominion voting. So, you know, they might actually win. They might actually win that $1.9 billion.
That'd be so sick.
You want me to pull it up?
Tucker Carlson was sent 41,000 hours of footage from Kevin McCarthy, Speaker of the House.
Yep.
So that they could comb through 41,000 hours of footage. And Tucker Carlson cherry-picked through 41,000 hours of footage, I think like around 5 minutes, of the January 6th insurrectionists like walking around peacefully and with the cops like walking them in and
Here
stuff.
it is. Here's the footage that they showed.
Yeah, you can even play it as like B-roll in the background with no audio.
Yeah, go ahead.
And for some weird reason, this is like a narrative that works for a lot of these fucking absolute morons. That like 5 minutes of footage on a very public event that we all watched happened 2 fucking years ago, live on national television, on my fucking Twitch channel, through probably a million different fucking angles, because there's so many cameras there. Turns out like 5 minutes of peacefully walking through can make up for the 41,000 other hours of them being violent and psychotic. The reason why, what they're trying to say basically is that cop that died of seizures like the next day, he was not hurt, is what they're trying to say. He died for unrelated causes, which I think is pretty funny for them to like do this like, you know, ACAB style, cop murder is fine when we do it narrative, which is pretty funny. But also, I think they're trying to imply that like, I'm sure you've heard this narrative. Nancy Pelosi purposefully refused to bring in the National Guard, and Nancy Pelosi is the reason why the Capitol was not protected on that day, which again still shows that like that doesn't eliminate the fact that like these violent hogs were behaving in this violent way. So I hate this like mainstream media narrative of like our hero cops were not being sucked off by the conservative movement today and they were being attacked viciously, but like these guys are pieces of shit too, okay? They're not nice.
So the thing, I guess there's a movement to free the January 6th patriots, and I guess this is part of that, where they're like they didn't even force their way in, they were escorted. So they want
set up as a frame job.
They want to free the January 6th heroes. That's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, there's a ton of people in there. Yeah,
they're like they were doing a peaceful prayer. Like that's what they're making it seem like. Yeah, brother. They were definitely just they were there for peaceful reasons. They made it seem like it was like a like a tourist day.
So I have to leave, but I'll just read this statement from the Capitol Police Chief. He said, the program conveniently cherry picks from the calmer moments of our 41,000 hours of video to incorrectly portray the violent assault as more akin to a peaceful protest. He added that Carlson's commentary fails to provide context about the chaos and violence that happened before or during these less tense moments. Guys, thank you so much. We'll be back on Friday, which is tomorrow, for After Dark. Peace and love, peace and love. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.